So part 1 of chapter 7 is called A Variety of Mating Replies. There is just no waiting around with these books. There's no pulling punches. A lot of amateur writers would probably be like, well, there's something exciting happening, so I'm gonna like milk it as much as I can. But Dunnett's just like, no, I'll just give it straight away, and because I know I've got plenty more juice, so I'm just gonna throw everything at them and then just create more tension. I really liked the feel of walking around in this fair at Stirling where everyone was going to, all the men are showing their skills with certain matches. So this is like page 133, 35 onwards. Essentially, I really liked the feel of this. I liked how the women were walking around buying things, and that there was just so, I just imagine this really nice sort of medieval fair, kind of like the feeling of Heath Ledger walking down the street in A Knight's Tale, like that vibe. Definitely happy to get some more POV from Sibylla, though we don't really get anything given away here, because the whole question is Sibylla in on this whole Lymond fiasco? And nothing in her POV gives it away, even when we're in her mind. And the thing about Dunnett is that she does get into like psychological depth. So the fact that we're not getting any of that from her POV makes me think maybe she really is a little bit in the dark about what's going on and she's just making guesses. I very much liked the top of page 132, how she described the goldsmith as very much simple entertainment. She's definitely got a little bit of snobbiness about her, which is definitely expected considering her social class, but it's not hidden very well here. So I wasn't sure if this was going to be a thing, but it definitely looks like that this whole match between Richard and Lymond is a thing. It's going to go down and people know about it. So there's no hiding from that. So I'm kind of excited about that. I like how it's gone around the rumour mill. I very much like the bottom of page 135, which is a chat between Sibylla and Andrew Hunter and Lord Buccleuch. And she says, "We are face to face like poor Janet beaten with a severe case of moral philosophy, and there is nothing we can do about it." So this is her eye roll at boys being boys, men being men. They will do these challenges for the masses and they love it, and she's just like, really, do we really need to do this? I was really sort of broken at the same area, bottom of 135. Richard just kind of got up and said, "Don't be afraid, I'll come back, if only to teach you the proper meaning of moral philosophy." And then the door closed behind them all. It was a little bit heart-wrenching, because this was Richard potentially saying goodbye to his mother. I mean, I think all of us thought, no, Richard's probably not going to die right now, though I wouldn't put it past Dunnett to kill off a major character. I think she's certainly the sort of author that would do that. I'm waiting for it. It's going to happen. But like Richard in that moment was sort of tongue-in-cheek saying, "I'll teach you the proper meaning of moral philosophy." Like he just sort of shrugged it off, but kissed his mum and then just left. Like, what was going through Sibylla's head in that moment? Was she thinking, this could be the last time that I'm going to see my eldest child? I'm not seeing my eldest child, but when I greet him back alive, he's going to have killed my youngest. Like, what is going through her head? If I was Sibylla, my heart would have just been pounding. I would have felt nauseous. I would have been actually really seriously asking him not to go, but she just keeps her cool and her calm. Then over the next few pages, we have that scene of Sibylla while they're waiting for the popinjay shooting to start. We've got Mariotta discussing stuff with Agnes and Andrew Hunter, and then we've got Sibylla going around shopping. I was unsure about what this shopping spree was all about with her, Tom Erskine and Kristen Stewart. Was she just super nervous and just trying to buy whatever she wanted as a distraction? Is she genuinely like this? Is shopping her weakness? I don't know. It was just a bit weird that she was getting all of this stuff. And then at the very end of their shopping hunt, Tom Erskine comes back and says something's happened. This is quite clever, because what we're doing is we're skipping ahead in time and then going back, which I think is the first time this has happened in this book, because it has, as far as I'm aware, been pretty chronological, unless it's just like a little bit of exposition filling us in on something that happened. But this is real-time narration, and we've got the Dowager or Sibylla seeing Tom's face, knowing that something bad has happened between Richard and Lymond. But then we go back a few steps and we don't see what happens for quite a few pages. So this is definitely a time forward, time backward kind of thing. Page 138 at the bottom, the Contra Vita Recti Morimus. I liked the family logo. It was a motto, sorry, a motto, not a slogan. From what I was reading in the companion book, is basically that we will die virtuous, or we will die before our virtue is compromised. This is obviously the exact opposite of Lymond. I do feel a bit sorry in the lead up here, just with everyone kind of assuming Richard's gonna lose this fight with Lymond. I just find that a little bit sad for Richard, but also, because surely he's gonna hear these rumors come back to him, but also, do we really, like, are we underestimating Richard here? I understand that he's older than Lymond, and that Lymond has done all of these like crazy things, but I'm not convinced that on a one-to-one match there would be much of a discrepancy between them. They've had the exact same education, they're brothers, I don't know. I also like that Richard came to show up, because he could have not shown up, and I know that Sibylla was trying to keep him away so that she wouldn't have to deal with this, but the fact that Richard is showing up, it just goes to show that he really is serious. So page 142, we get to Johnny by himself. We know Johnny because whenever there's a mention of white teeth, a flash of white teeth, we know it's Johnny. So I don't know how I picture Johnny in my head, but he has very white teeth. Picture him as kind of brunette, with white teeth and like really like playful dark eyes. The fact that Johnny is so present in this town, I'm assuming that there is, I don't really understand how gypsies would have meshed in with the local populations. Were they separate? Were they in their own tents? How I've read this is that there's like gypsies who live in their own tents, maybe not like in set houses, and they move around frequently, because Johnny is moving around a lot, and I assume he's taking his crew with him. I'm assuming he's kind of the leader of this group of gypsies, and because he's there, we're thinking, of course, well, Lymond's here, and it's obviously quite clever that Lymond is using gypsies as kind of a cover. I wonder, I'm very interested, so interested of the history behind that. I think I've said this before, but I'd very much like to get a backstory on this. I wish we had not a prologue, what am I saying? A prequel to this. I would read the prequel to this of Lymond growing up and all of his adventures and how he like got to know the gypsies. That would be great. Okay, moving on, page 148. This was the actual shooting. We finally, oh my god, the build-up has been so much in this chapter of getting to these damn birds. I definitely was thinking when Lymond shot from further away and hit the rope to free the bird, then hit the bird quickly thereafter, then hit Richard in a spot that he knew would not have been fatal. It just seemed too good. I don't know, it just seemed so good that I kind of wanted him to at least miss one thing to make it believable, because of all of Lymond's talents, like, he can't just be good at everything. But we do find out in his conversation with Christian, and this is around page 155, that he is actually he says that shooting is one of his vanities. Okay, so it is one of his talents, one of the top ones. Okay, fine, Lymond will give that to you. Before we get there, we have this conversation with Sibylla and Bucklew about how they don't want to use the glove and the hounds to hunt down Lymond. And I very much appreciated the line here on 152, how my sons turn out is rather my affair. So Sibylla really is taking personal responsibility for a lot of this. She seems to want to, or she's saying that as a cover because she truly is freaking out about, like, maybe she's just a mother who really loves her youngest son and her older son, of course. We know that she already lost a daughter. And so maybe she's just really protective. So when they go and get their fortunes read, which is just a weird thing. I thought that they're very heavy Christianity back in the day, but they allow fortune telling from gypsies. Okay. Fine. And the lords and the ladies set the example of walking straight into the gypsy tent. I assume there's this big gypsy tent and Lymond is just chilling in there. He didn't run away after he shot Richard. He just sort of strolled down the street and went into the tent. Oh my gosh. I very much liked, though, when it was Christian's turn to have her fortune read and Lymond walked out, he actually went about explaining what the room looked like. Like there was a chair there and she said that there's a bag there, which is Johnny's stuff, and it's just you and me. He explained the scene to Christian because it's a very thoughtful thing to do because she has no idea what she's walked into, how big the tent is, what is around. And so I think she would have really appreciated that. Lymond also inquires into how Richard is going because he wouldn't have really known how badly he damaged Richard. So he did want to know what was going on. I imagine, I want to think that Lymond didn't want to kill Richard, but I also think that he shot his brother from that far away. Surely he knew that he could have easily got his neck. Like, he took a risk. He would have shot that arrow knowing that he probably could have killed Richard. So I'm very conflicted here. We can't accept he's that good an archer that to risk your brother's life on that. Like, I get that he could shoot a target, but would you risk a loved one's life on that? Or does he truly, truly feel like he has no connection with Richard anymore? The line of the chapter goes to Christian. This is top of page 157. For one thing, you shouldn't confuse stolidity and self-control. So stolidity meaning someone who is kind of stoic on the outside, like not changing their emotions on the outside, kind of like Sibylla, but also like Richard. And what she's trying to say in this is that just because Richard is not reacting on the outside doesn't mean he actually has that much self-control, which is a very insightful comment on her behalf because she can see that Richard actually is burning passion underneath, and she's trying to tell that to Lymond. Lymond, who has just basically insulted his brother by calling him dull and blameless creature. So I very much appreciated that Christian stood up for Richard there. Page 159, just I don't know why I'm saying this, but Lymond's leg is described as supple. Okay, so Lymond is flexible. He must be a smaller man. Just a funny description. End of the chapter was great because I love interactions between Johnny and Lymond, especially this one where Lymond's walking out to cause more havoc and Johnny just starts laughing to himself alone in a room. It's just creepy, but it was great. Creepy because Johnny is laughing at someone's misfortune, but I suppose if we, in our heart of hearts, are believing that both Johnny and Lymond are on the same side, trying to fight for the greater good, like Robin Hood style, we accept him laughing at that because we think that Lymond is going to give it to someone who deserves it, and he's laughing at that. But for all we know, that's not true. Anyway, I'll see you next time.